We're talking about this weekend, man. As far as a lot of sports went down this week, but let's get to the more serious part of the weekend. Dak Prescott went down, and
Yeah.
he went down hard. Um, Severe ankle injury. Already had surgery. Literally, just looking at it, that was one of those injuries. And I don't want to look here. I'm not sitting here saying his career is over with or anything like that, but that was a really, really bad break.
Yeah.
Uh, and to see it up close and I was watching on YouTube this doctor describe it actually when it was happening in slow motion. I tell you, he's got a lot of work to do as far as coming back and getting back on track. Dallas, of course, that they going to have an uphill battle going forward. What do you think that's going to do for Dak Prescott's career going forward?
Yeah, I was watching as it happened, and it was exactly what you said. It was just devastating to see. At first, when they zoomed in on it, it looked like his shoe was just off, right? A little bit. And then when I got it, well, that's at least what I thought when I first saw it. And then when I got a closer look, you could see it was his ankle. And the first thing I think that any sports fan, especially football fan with any knowledge of the history of the game, the first thing you think about is Joe Theismann, of course, and that terrible break that he had against the Giants. But hopefully it wasn't as terrible as that. I think that Dak, though, knew as soon as it happened there was going to be an issue because you saw the tears in the man's eyes as they carted him off the field. I don't think you're crying if you know you're going to come back next
Yeah,
Sunday.
yeah,
You're crying because you know this might be it for the year. And they're only 4 games in. They weren't off to the best start, but this is also what Dak is thinking. You remember in the summertime, there was all those talks with him and Jerry Jones about contracts and contract renewal. Oh, they franchise tag him, and he's trying to negotiate a new deal. Really hard to negotiate for yourself when you're out there on the sidelines and not able to perform. You know what I mean? From a negotiation standpoint, I think it puts him in a bad place. But I think number one is he needs to get back to 100% healthy. I just wonder if you can do that. That was a compound fracture on his ankle. It's going to be months and months and months, I think, till he can even get back on the gridiron. And when I say months, I mean healing and rehab. So I don't know. We definitely don't see him back this season. I honestly think that next season, maybe we take it slow. I'm not sure. What do you think?
I kind of agree with Titan Hugo, who's in the chat there, who said it reminded him of
Oh,
the cycle accident. I was there actually. I was getting ready to work. I was coming up. Next match after that actually happened, and actually saw when Sid went down, and it was the scariest thing I ever saw. In my life to that point inside the wrestling ring, and the thing with Dak, man. Watching it in slow motion, I literally could not watch all of it.
no.
That's how nasty it was. I've seen so many injuries like that throughout my career with so many different guys, and it's just scary. You know what I mean? Because the reason why it's so scary is because it could happen to you,
Hmm.
and that's the one thing I remember a kid, by the name of Calvin Knapp. I was just looking up the Global Wrestling Federation roster just for, I don't know why, but Calvin Knapp was a kid who was coming up with, in the same, time I was coming up, around the same age, good looking kid, body, great body. And he went out and blew his knee out, and his kneecap ended up in his thigh. It scared the crap out of me when I saw it in person. I was like, wow, God, man, how do I, make sure that never happened to me? But the thing is, you can't make sure. You just have to, go out and, put it out of your mind and perform. And I'm sure all those guys on the field, watched their captain go down, Dak Prescott. They saw their captain go down, and it's a scary thing. It's scary, and it's hard to get on track after that happens as well. And every time I've been a part of something like that, where a guy go out and boom, something happened, he get injured, and we know how bad the injury is, and he has to leave and go to the hospital that night. It's not the same. Somebody can go out and get hurt, get their bell rung. That's totally different. Show must go on. But we think about that as human beings, I think, because we know it can happen to us.
Yeah, and you coming from the athletic background that you come from, I'm sure there's been several moments, not only just the Sid one, but some that may have been scary for you even. I remember, I think, was the most devastating injury you ever had the knee? Was the knee the most devastating one?
No, the scariest one was with the kid from ECW,
Mike Awesome.
Mike Awesome.
Oh, where he did the
The
Awesome Bomb over.
Awesome Bomb, and you know, you guys could go back and check that out on on YouTube. Awesome Bomb from Mike Awesome, and it was the scariest thing I ever been a part of. Being, you know, on his back, and you know, I'm thinking we're gonna go midway and boom, he's gonna drop me, but he literally went past midway, and I saw myself in the trun, and I'm looking at myself, and I'm wondering at the same time, what the hell is he thinking? You know, I don't know what happened, but I don't know if he just blanked out. I don't know if he didn't know what the hell he was doing. It's probably the latter of the two. And he dropped me so far on the opposite side of the ring. I slid all the way up under the turnbuckle. That's how how close my head came to that bottom turnbuckle. Could have broke my neck, and I was out for about a month and a half after that. And it was the scariest bump I think. And the thing is, if I wouldn't have, you know, saw myself in the trun, I really would have got hurt because I tucked my head really tight, you know, because I just knew I was out of position. Just from a field perspective. And if I wouldn't have did that, I would have. I remember landing like Evel Knievel, man, in the Houston Astrodome when he took the bump, you know, and his body just went all over the place. That's the way I felt when I took that bump that night, because my body, I had no control over the bump, you know, and that's something a wrestler never want to be in a position to where he doesn't have control over his body, especially when he's taking a bump. Going outside, inside, whatever, you know, you want to be able to control it. And I had no control over it. And it was a nasty, nasty bump. Almost like when Mick Foley fell through the cage and took the bump, Hell in the Cell with Undertaker. And when he took the bump, it was nothing his body could do. I mean, he couldn't prepare for that bump just the way he went through the cage. It was nasty. And that's the way I felt, you know, and not as bad, of course, as the Mick Foley thing. I don't want to compare, you know, the bump I took to that, but it was definitely, it put me on the shelf for a couple of months.
It's you know, when you're around for a while, like around wrestling, and you watch certain guys, and you just see how certain guys fall or land sometimes, it makes you do like, oh my God, you know, like that wasn't right, you know. I just watched the video of the Mike Awesome thing, and it is pretty frightening, and it's quick. Like you didn't have a lot of time to adjust at all, you know.
No.
Like, that fast.
Yeah. It was
he has
really,
you in kind of for people, it's not just a regular power bomb position. He has you in like a crucifix position, similar to the Razor's Edge, and then throws you like with his weight going forward. It's pretty frightening perspective.
It was pretty nasty. It was a pretty nasty bump. And like I said, put me on the shelf for like I said, a month and a half, 2 months or something like that. I got back on track, but it was definitely one you don't want to take. And that's what I talk about, you know, with my students all the time as far as safety. That's not something you could practice either, you know what I mean? So it's going to be up to the person that's doing it to you to make sure you're able to walk away that night or not.